So when I was a kid, my grandfather had a trucking company all up through when I was in high school and beginning of college. And the trailer numbers all started with 52. And right there is 5225. And that's a sleigh trailer. I used to clean that trailer with my cousin. So we didn't technically own the trailers, he owned the trucks, but the trailers were all the same trailers all the time. We always used the same trailers. So that was one of the trailers that we used to use. Now that one there doesn't have a cyclone on the back. A cyclone is when you see like a little V funnel thing on the back. It's like a cylinder with a V at the bottom. So that's one of the less expensive trailers, but that's still one of the trailers that we had. So I've literally handled that trailer many, many times. So that hauls out of Cincinnati most likely. So it's on its way back to Cincy. And it's on one of the routes that my grandfather's trucking company used to do. And then you can see the little sleigh logo, S-L-A-Y, right there on the back. And then, so basically that thing fills all the way up with plastic BBs, plastic pellets. And you'll see the sleigh logo up here on the front. And so again, that's 5225. So we had like 5219 and 5221 and 5213. Like I remember all these numbers because I would be in the dispatch office playing like Minesweeper or checking the weather or whatever. So anyway, my grandfather was a super hard worker. His business started to run in the red. This is on my mom's side. His business started to run in the red after 9/11 when fuel prices went crazy. And instead of him sell his business for millions and millions and millions of dollars, which he could have easily done, he didn't do that. And you know, hindsight's 2020. Instead, he just started running in the red and just shut it down, which is a real shame. But I had big life decisions, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm not exaggerating you when I say that he was fucking nasty to myself and some of my other cousins and family members, that if we didn't join his team and work for him, then we were fools. And so my particular situation, I had him and I had my dad's side, my stepdad's side of the family, and it was like this big super drama. Which side are you gonna pick? Which side are you gonna pick? Well, hindsight, that grandfather with the trucking company, he was a troublemaker, super troublemaker. See, he used to talk to my grandparents on the other side of the family, and they worked together to try to get me to go work for my grandfather in Indiana, which I did. It was the harder work, and I chose the harder work on purpose. And once I got over there after high school and started going to college, he was nasty. He was completely against me going to school. Would literally belittle me for going to school, that nobody needs to go to college to be a success. So those of you who want to give me shit about what degrees do you have and prove this and prove that, understand something. I had a kind of childhood which you couldn't comprehend with, if you want to talk about somebody with autistic traits, he was the one, okay? The prime example of Mr. Autism. And so I emulated him out of respect. And so, anyway, then once I got over there and eventually broke my leg, then my stepdad said, if you don't come home and work for the family, you are, actually even before I broke my leg, my stepdad said, if you don't come home and work for the family, you're going to be disowned. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I'm just telling you, they're going to disown you if you don't. And I'm like, what do you mean by disown? I don't need anything. I don't need any stock. I don't need anything. I'm fine. Well, you're not even going to be invited to family dinner anymore. You're not going to be invited to Christmas dinner. It's like, well, what the fuck are you guys talking about? So I started going back and working for my family during the summers and going to school in Indiana near my grandfather's ranch during the winters. That way I was kind of like trying to have feet on both sides of the line, trying to please everybody. And that pissed everybody off even more. Because what it was is they wanted to take the stock away from me, and my great-grandma was giving me the stock. And they wanted to come up with an excuse to go tell her Brandon doesn't deserve the stock. And I kept jumping through all their hoops. And so they hated me because they couldn't get me to fumble, and they knew that they themselves had fumbled much smaller tasks earlier in their lives. So they resented the fact that I was passing all the tests. And the more tests that they had me pass, the more that my great-grandparent wanted to give me more and more stock in this company and frowned on all of them. So the plot really thickens and gets crazy later on. But I just thought it was crazy that here I am driving down the highway and there's a trailer that I used to put my hands on because we had to clean them out after every load because they had these plastic pellets, these plastic BBs, and every load they had to be washed at the tank wash, which was on my grandfather's property. So Slay and Monsanto, those trailers, the vast majority of them were all washed by my grandfather's property. So every little plastic BB, whether it was clear or red or blue or black, it could not be in the next load. So you had to completely disassemble the trailer and send these big spinners that were these bulkhead washer machine things that would you stick down inside the trailers and wash them. And my cousin and I, we worked our ass off, but my grandfather was very against me progressing in the business because he knew I was smart enough to genuinely take it over, and he was super jealous of me that here I was, that I'd chosen his side, and now what? And so he shut the whole fucking thing down out of spite. He wanted to see me dead end, and he wanted to see what happens. Like, I genuinely think it's a combination between Alzheimer's from ice cream and cheese and all this other shit that he used to eat when he was on the road all the time driving, and also just pure jealousy of the fact that he knew that I was potentially inheriting an insane amount of money from the other side of the family, and he could not take it, and he was just so jealous. And the crazy thing is I would have shared it, and they all want to say that I didn't share. They were always starving me. They were never paying me well, and whatever they did pay me, then they'd work together to steal it. They'd find out how much I'd been paid from each other either way, and then they'd figure out a way to steal it. And I'm not exaggerating you. Everything from the money that I gave them for my car wasn't actually used to buy my car when I was 16, 17 years old. They pocketed the money and they never gave me my title. It's just all kinds of things like this. And then when I would tell the other family members what happened, they just laughed. They thought it was funny. So I had a really fucked up childhood, all because of this stupid stock. It was the kiss of death. And so I kept going back to my family, on my stepdad's side of the family, who said, you need to come back and work for us, otherwise you're disowned. And I didn't care about the stock, I didn't care about the money, I cared about my family relationships. And so when they didn't give me the stock and the money, I didn't care. I was still all their best friends, and they didn't understand it. They thought that I was going to sue them, because technically I might have grounds to do so. And instead I just looked at the glass half full and appreciated my life and realized I could have grown up with nothing in the middle of fucking Africa, okay? Or in the middle of nowhere, you know, under families that weren't successful. So I